Beat by CP3.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen. Ovechkin across.
I think it's TJ Oshie with the goal. Pass. Instead of shooting the puck, he tries to put this puck back. It goes off Jacob Trouba, and Oshie finds the loose puck in the blue paint.
Yeah, and it wasn't over the line before Oshie gets it. No, he's right there and taps it in. Outstanding play by Ovechkin to move that puck across, and there's the stick of Oshie in behind Georgiev. Picks up the goal here, and you love the celebration from Ovechkin.
I think it goes off as Zibanejad.
With Marcel Dion.
The shot hits Anthony Mantha up in the chest. Georgiev has no idea where that puck is, and Ovechkin just buries it to the back of the center of the net.
It pays to be as tall as Mantha is, I guess. Normal human hits it right in the face. Gets him in the chest and lays down perfectly for that guy.
For the blocker. Actually goes under the arm, blocker side, but the play was made right there by Kuznetsov, Jonesy. Understanding where Ovechkin was, and he does the rest.
Yeah, and what a burst of speed. DeAndre Miller's a very good skating defenseman for the New York Rangers, and Ovechkin just powers past him.
That's right. It's Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, CP3 coming to you live from the lab. We got AnnaK and Robbie G is making an appearance tonight for the start of the NHL hockey season. You saw the highlight reel that I put together. The first game of the season, Caps beat the Rangers 5-1. We're going to break that down in our first official NHL segment. I want to welcome AnnaK back. You know, it's always good to have her here to help break down these Capitals in this new upcoming season. So how you doing tonight, Anna?
I'm doing great. It's so awesome to see you both. This is awesome, and I'm so excited because I feel really, really good about how the Caps have started off the season. So I'm excited about a couple of the new players, and I'm excited about some of the vet players too.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I like the way they started out with that 5-1 victory. Tight defense, good goaltending, and solid offense. Robbie G, new father for the second time around. Now he's officially indoctrinated into parenthood, having 2 children now. So how does it feel to be in the new parent hero world?
Yeah, I've tied what Anna has put into this world. So, you know,
Welcome.
Yes, exactly. And one of each too. So I'll definitely get your advice on that as the world turns. But it's fun. I mean, she's great. She's starting to sleep a little more through the night, so I'm lucky. Paternity leave has been amazing. I'm enjoying spending all my time with Zach, and basically we go on adventures every afternoon to give Liz and her some time. And I'm very thankful that my mother-in-law, Denise, or G Mama, as Zach calls her, is here, and it has been so helpful, and staying an extra 3 days, which makes this possible for me to jump on tonight. I know there's an extra set of hands if need be for Liz. She leaves Thursday, so it'll be a tougher road from then on. But I said I hoped she'd move in, but she has to go back to Texas. She's been here for about a month, so it's pretty amazing. And
it was time.
So yeah, it's all good. It's weird. It's week 4 of my paternity leave. I forget what day of the week it is many times, but I'm so thankful to have it. And I mean, so excited to see the start of the hockey season. And it was really incredible. This first game, I got to watch with Zach, and my dad came over that night as well. So I got to watch with the person who got me into this team, and share it with the person I'm trying to get into this team now. And he loves seeing anything with capitals, like hockey. So he has his own hockey stick and net, and so it's cool to watch. He does prefer football, Carol, over hockey so far to watch. So
I mean, 2 for 2.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy he likes both of them. And he's got a little hoop. And the other day he was shooting off of the roller coaster into the hoop. I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. So, yeah. Exactly. And we do soccer practice every Saturday, so that's good. So trying to make him well-rounded in the sports world. And lately he's been watching tennis with me. So maybe I'll get into that as the next one. We go to our gym and we watch the people play tennis below while we eat our snacks. So he's super into that too. So
what other way to watch it?
Exactly. Goldfish and tennis. It's a great combination. So
it is. Passes the time.
But I'm so happy that hockey is back, and it's just been a really great first 2 games, and I couldn't stay away. I had to talk about it. It was hard not to just go live right after. It was such a great 5-1 victory, but it was good to see, because there was a lot of people leading up to that, but it wasn't as what was to be expected. Everyone thought it was going to be this this battle where it was just going to be a lot of fights, and I'm happy we didn't get sucked into that, and we ended up doing well. But Anna, why don't you break down the goals? I'm going to go get myself a drink of water. You and Carol will talk about it, and then I'll give my thoughts on this first game.
Yeah, no problem. And I think just to lead into what Robbie was saying, Carol, I don't know if you saw the game. I think you might have, but I will say that there is something to be said about a hype of Ryan Reeves, and then it just belly flopping, not happening. So it was, on my end, I was like, and it shows a lot of maturity for Tom Wilson. I'll just say that.
I mean, I missed the first period. I was at work. I caught the rest of the game from the second period on. I was expecting the same thing with all the talking all season. But as I've always said, they don't want that work from Wilson, because he's good with the hands and he's trying to play his game. But if you want to do that, he's more than willing to do that. So, I mean, I was expecting a little something, but I wasn't expecting the whole line brawl like we saw last season, even though that was very entertaining.
Absolutely. So just to recap, back on Wednesday, it was our first game against the Rangers at home. And here we go with TJ Oshie getting the first Caps goal on the scoreboard with the power play goal at 4:39, assisted by Ovi and Kuzi, which to me is there's nothing better than to hear those two names together, because Kuzi definitely needed to prove himself, and this is a great way for him to start off. Second period has Schultz scoring with the power play goal at 12:36. Assisted by Ovi and Kuzi again. And then at 13:02, don't know if you had a chance to see this, but I will say, little heart explosion for LaPierre. There was just something awesome about this kid. And I will say he's a kid because he's 19. First NHL goal. Oh my God, assisted by Oshie and Sherry. And if you had a chance, which I'm sure you have, anybody out there, to see the replay of, even though he kind of was crashing up against the boards, his smile, Oshi's reaction, and then the whole team coming together, like, how could you not just feed off of that energy right there? So good on him, and what a fantastic player to follow. I've got high hopes for LaPierre for sure.
I want to pause you real quickly there.
Yeah.
The moment was treated so differently in-house, like the eruption, the craziness, and the scenes I did it when I heard the radio call.
Yeah.
If you watch it live on TNT, and this is TNT's maiden voyage game, you had a hockey player by the name of Wayne Gretzky talking through the entire thing, and 2 goals in a row for us, and so it created this very big division on Capitals forums. Half the people said, "Shut up, Wayne, you can't talk through the goals." And I am on the camp, talk through as many goals as you'd like, as long as they're Capitals goals.
Exactly.
Because, I get to hear Wayne Gretzky and watch Capitals goals, but we didn't hear the same energy that you do from the radio call. So I hope that people go back and watch the video that the Caps actually put out, where they recap their first game with their highly cinematic, look to it. And check that one out, because listening to it with the right call is obviously very different. But Carol, what were your thoughts on TNT and the live broadcast and overall this goal? And then we could break down the other goals.
Sure.
Going forward.
I noticed it too. I knew it would probably get some Caps fans upset that he was talking over the goal. I watched it, and I was like, come on, Wayne, who just had.
How do they not let him know? The director needs to get in his ear. No, don't even wrap it up. Wayne, hold on for a second. Let's go to the play-by-play, and we'll go back to you, right?
But Wayne Gretzky, how are you going to tell the greatest score of all time to shut up?
But he's on your team. Like, you're gonna have to figure a way to do that if you're gonna do these things.
But
right?
It was definitely. Interesting to see that go down. But I'm sure LaPierre, if he saw the feed, he would love that Wayne Gretzky was talking over his goal, his first NHL goal. So he'll probably enjoy it. The fans will, probably be upset because, they wanted to hear the call. Like you said, you can go check out the Caps live feed. I noticed it. I was like, come on, Wayne, shut up. I want to hear what you say. But it's Wayne Gretzky, so you still be like, okay, what's Wayne going to be talking about Ovi and breaking his record? I'm like, okay, we can let it. Now, as long as he's talking about
Ovi. There's a level of respect for you. Like, I don't want to cut him off, but I kind of want to just be like, all right, let's go.
And if he was talking about something else, and I'd be like, all right, shut up. But he was talking about Ovi breaking his record and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I can let it pass when you're talking about Ovi. But anybody else, I'd have had a problem with.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. But the goal itself, incredible, on the ice. It reminded me of some of Ovechkin's early goals where he scored from, his butt, or sliding in the ice or going in a crazy direction. But the pass, obviously, by TJ Oshie, he's already one of my favorite Capitals. We've talked about him so much on there. There's a reason I photoshopped it in Anna's graphic that's, I believe, down below me right now. So it's he's incredible. I love that you could put him on these lines and reading. I read so many articles about this story from many different situations, but listening to this kid and how he trains. He loves being on a line with Oshie, and he stays late with him to try to mimic everything TJ Oshie does. And if we could get a center to mimic half the stuff that TJ Oshie does, and he's a first-round draft pick, we could have a solid player on our future right here. And so I'm excited about him. One thing that's interesting is people probably don't realize this, entry-level contracts. And I hate to bring it up, but once he burns a certain number of days, the contract changes, right? And the days are 10. So, you have to be very careful. You can't just, people are like, oh, just play him the 10 games that Nicholas Backstrom's not here. That'll be great. That would actually screw us over pretty badly. So you're going to play him maybe 4 or 5 games here. You're going to play McMichael. You're going to play some of these, other, players and prospects and stuff like that. I'm excited that he got a goal in his first NHL game, and his family was there. And they actually ended up staying an extra couple of days so they could go to the Tampa Bay game. And although he didn't score again, I still think he played pretty well. He was knocked off the puck a couple of times, but like overall, still, I mean, they're the two-time defending champions. They're a much better team than New York. A lot of our players got knocked off the puck, not just a rookie. But we'll get into that. But Carol, what were some of your thoughts on this first ever career goal and the assist by TJ Oshie?
Oh, it was definitely a beautiful play with Oshie getting the puck at the blue line and the fancy pass. And LaPierre just being in the right place at the right time. And with that pass, it was right on the tape and, lost his balance, went into the boards. And Oshie, he was more ecstatic for the rookie than the rookie was. And they played a snippet before the game and saying, talking about LaPierre getting his first career start and Oshie saying how he wanted to help him, help him along. And he would love to help put him in a position to, be successful and help them try to get that first NHL goal and actually get it in your debut, assisted by Oshie. Hey, that's a beautiful thing for a young guy. He's 19 years old, so yeah, it's
19.
19. I wouldn't scoring goals in the NHL. I was doing some other things that I probably wasn't supposed to be doing.
Right. That's why I'm not running for government.
Exactly. Something make you feel really old real quickly, Carol?
Man,
he's the first
man.
I know, but he's the first Capital to be born in the 21st century.
No.
And score a goal for the Capitals. So think about that for a second.
Let's not.
And my favorite thing is the last time Ovechkin got a shorthanded goal, to allude to what's about to happen, this kid was about 6 or 7 years old. But anyway, but go on and explain how the game I thought really took off after this goal, and then you haven't even broke down the other 2 goals yet. Yeah.
I know. So because now we're going into the third period where it's now 3-0 the Capitals, which is fantastic. And I think leading off with that, or ending, I should say, LaPierre and Sherry, it's, oh my God, we're just it's such a high, such an adrenaline rush. And I wish I was really there live, but that's okay. I will pseudo take the TNT version of this game. But we do have the captain scoring at 2:37 with a power play goal assisted by Mantha and Carlson. And then the Rangers score at 9:13. But here we go. Like you said before, Robbie, Ovi scores shorthanded goal, 12:01, and the Capitals win 5-1. And I walked away with this game just excited for everybody. There was not a negative for me, even number 9. Number 9. I will even
I love the new defensive pairings. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk about Mantha real fast. I'm so mad. I was looking everywhere for my Mantha t-shirt that people can get on sports@thp.com.
Right.
And I love it. First of all, Zach loves it. He wears it all the time, which is great. I like Manta rays, and I like 3, and I like 9.
That's
so.
cute.
And he has shown up in the preseason. I know we didn't really do a special to talk about the season, but he was crushing it. Won us some games in the preseason with his play in a time where we hadn't been winning, preseason games. And so I think that not that it means a lot to win a preseason game, but it's nice to to score and to have some good play at the end of it to try to draw on to start a season in a positive note. But I love that he's such a big rig guy, and he goes to the net and he is hard. And he took a shot right off the chest. And Ovechkin found that rebound and finished it. And that was incredible. And you need people to be gritty, down low, and to take a puck, whether it's blocking a puck or deflecting a puck, or sometimes, that's the gritty, dirty stuff that Mike Knuble used to do. And
welcome to hockey.
yeah, and we need more of on this team. So for me, I wish Verano well, and it sucks that he got injured, and but the short-term returns, I'm happy. A lot of people had a lot of question marks about the Mantha Ray, and I'm very happy with how he's doing. And of course, Ovechkin's goal with the koozie, sending it down ice, bouncing off the end boards right to Ovechkin, perfectly passed. It's really exciting. And when Nicholas Backstrom comes back to his team, we'll have to make some tough decisions of where we're going to, place people, which is a good thing to have. Carol, what were some of your thoughts on Ovechkin getting the 5th all-time and how he did it with those 2 goals?
I mean, you know, I'm a huge Obi fan, and he's just amazing. Just the things that he does, that continue continues to do, and yeah, both of his goals. You know, first one, you know, going to the crashing to the net, as Ovi does. You know, sometimes when you saw him switch up on the power play, we saw some variations and things switching up with people always keying on Ovi. And the koozie with the redirect off the boards, we always, you know, hear when they're on the road about, you know, how the home team, you know, knows the boards and, you know, plays those pucks perfectly. And we used to see that a lot with this team. So yeah, sometimes, you know, the indirect pass, it doesn't always have to be pinpoint accurate tape to tape. Sometimes just get it to an area and, you know, let your man, you know, beat the other player to the spot and make something happen. And that's what Ovi did. You know, even
Yeah.
though he's a older gentleman, he still has those wheels and he still can skate with the best of them. And he's just showing that, yeah, there's nothing that's holding him back or slowing him down, even though he's getting older and he got this 5 year extension. And we can tell by the way he started the season. We know what's on his mind.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think that even though I wasn't a huge TNT fan of them doing the show, that's fine, whatever. But I will say when they mic'd up Ovi during this game, I loved it because, you know, as we know, like you guys are football fans, I'm a football fan, and sometimes they mic up players and you're like, okay, please, like you would never be this animated or this positive or this whatever had you not had a microphone on you. There's that tad bit of embellishment or whatever. But I feel like they mic'd up Ovechkin and you can hear him kind of chirping with Reeves. But you can also hear him, you know, how he talks to the other players, how he reacts when other players score, and it is 100% genuine in my opinion. I think that is such great leadership and sportsmanship and whatever you want to call it, and that's why, you know, he is the captain. So I respect that. Like his mic up was in my opinion, I thought it was genuine for sure.
Yeah, well, I thought it was amazing to get the insight, and there's a lot of amazing videos and things that came out of that game. It was basically everything you wanted in a game. You know, we tried out these new defensive pairings. I think as much as I love, you know, Zdeno Chara, and I really like Dylan, I think going younger and a little bit faster. And we had these players in the pipeline, and the problem is like they just couldn't get ice time just because we didn't have the slots for them. So now the slots opened up, and you know we actually had these players last year. We couldn't really see what they could do, especially not with a Laviolette full off season. You know, Laviolette has been known to have a better second season with teams than first season, and actually bringing teams to the cup in the second season in some of these circumstances. So, you know, the window is short because Ovechkin's getting older, but like, I love how people have already passed the torch from him to like Matthews and all these people. And I'm like, right. So that's why Ovechkin is in second place in goals already. Like, and I didn't even see Matthews in the top 10, but sure. Like, let's pass the torch before the season even starts. But I love that 3 goals in the first 2 games puts him at 100, and I think it was 123 was the you know, number of goals that he would score. So I don't think he'll get that many this season, but it's nice to at least start off hot. And you know, one fun stat, you know, because Ovechkin breaks so many records, it's hard to keep track of them all. But he's second most all time in 2-goal games for your opener. So only Gordie Howe has had more 2-goal games to start a season than Ovechkin.
Like, what a fantastic duo right there.
Right.
So.
Ovechkin has 4 now of those such games, and Gordie Howe has 5. So for anyone interested in that, but like, it's like that's crazy to me, right? Like, and Ovechkin didn't even start his first season, and his first game ever he had, I believe, 2 goals, but it wasn't. You know, he came in the middle of that season. It doesn't. You know, he didn't start game 1, so that doesn't count towards that. But you know, it's just all his first game of the season. So in some ways, he's almost tied with Gordie, right? So yeah, it's pretty incredible what we get to see. And obviously, like, you had a good defensive game. You allowed the hits to be had because that was what the Rangers wanted to do. and the Capitals beat them in a different way, right? They would usually beat them in that department, and they saw, hey, the Rangers are giving us speed but taking away hitting from us. Let's beat them with speed. And they realized that and made the adjustment and won the game 5-1. And Ryan Reeves played a lot of time in the first couple of periods, but not so much down the stretch. And he may have got a lot of hits on his scorecard, but he got no points, which, ultimately,
Which I think for the Capitals shows a ton of maturity and a ton of, they're going to look at this situation. If this was Tom Wilson 5 or 6 years ago, he would have had, 27 penalty minutes or something like totally ridiculous.
Right, yeah, he would have gone to town on them.
Yeah, but I think that it shows the maturity. I think that it shows that, their discipline. And that's huge. And that's a huge, kind of hats off to the coach. It's like, Laviolette, I appreciate his coaching because he's going to come out there and say, listen, if you're being a jerk or you're being an asshole or on the highest or you're doing this, doing that, I'm going to bench you. It doesn't matter because I got somebody who wants to come up and is half your age and just as fast and has the skills and the drive. So I appreciate that. And I think that the players know that he's kind of a no joke. So I think that, I think everyone kind of hyped up the Ryan Reeves Wilson thing. And I think that, Reeves just kind of came out and was trying to do something and it just wasn't going to happen. And it's like, okay, let's just close that door. I don't even want to focus on that guy.
Right. Well, and that's what's great. I mean, they kind of shut them up as they did all that work to get him.
Exactly. To a traded team.
None of that stuff came into play anyway. So it's about, it's the beginning of the season. The Capitals didn't have nothing to gain by playing that game. That was all the Rangers this offseason talking that stuff. So, the Capitals know what they are, know who they are. They don't really, feed into that. They're not even really built like that as a team. But if they have to get physical, they have the players that can do it. So, it was just up to the Capitals just playing their game and just have to learn that even when you have distractions like that and you have players like Reeves that's going to try to instigate things and make things happen, which we've seen the Capitals sometimes feed into it because they don't get a call and they're, chirp back or retaliate and get caught for the penalty. So, it was good to see them, stay out of the penalty box for the most part. They gave up, the one power play goal. That's the only thing that, in the third period that they gave up the goal. Double V has had a couple of few instances where he could have had a shutout, but they lost it in the third period, or late in the third period. So other than that, it was a good game all around. You mentioned the youth movement. I was going to definitely mention Van Riemsdyk. I feel like he had a great game playing at speed, getting the puck, clearing the zone, making timely hits, good back pressure. I was, like you mentioned with the players we had before that, these young guys couldn't get on the ice, but now they're finally getting on the ice and can develop. And, like I said, Lafayette scored his first goal. Brad Riemsdyk had a, good first game as coming up at the season opener. So, Orloff had a decent game. So it's all about just growing and adding the youth and the feistiness, like you were talking about, Robbie, to the lineup like they did on the Stanley Cup run. And you get that good mixture of veteran, youth, and, hustle and want. And that's when you get that magic that happens in the postseason. So, so definitely was a good start to the season for the Capitals.
Yeah, and a couple other things I wanted to point out is I thought the defensive pairings just overall, I think that they're able to overlap skill sets in a really good way. Where before we had, Chara, which is a long reach, but you have to account for he's slower. It's going to be interesting to see how we traded down on size with getting rid of Dylan and Chara, but we traded up in youth and speed. So, which is the way that the league is going. So I understand, you only get 6 defensive slots. So changing 2 positions ends up changing a lot structurally of what you're going to do. And they've even changed, who's teamed up with whom, right? It's not like it was even what it was last year for the players that stayed together. So I thought that was interesting. And one thing I want to ask Carol about was Kuzi under the radar had 3 points in this first game. I know that there had been a lot of talk, of trading him in the offseason. I think that the message may have gotten to him. He at least looked good in that game, and the Kuzi of 2018, not the one that we've seen the last couple of seasons.
Well, he definitely said he he had something to prove after the rehab and the season that he had last year. They said he had a good off season. He came in serious and determined, and I think we saw it on the ice the way he was skating, the dominance he showed with the puck. The I guess the what he was missing last year was the word I'm looking for.
It's like a spark, like it's
Spark
just,
Yeah.
was
it's
like
just,
he had
yeah.
he had more confidence in himself. Looked like when he was out there with the
Yeah,
puck.
yeah, yeah. He looked like the Terminator, like he's just gonna take care of business,
Yeah.
versus being like scared and being knocked off the puck a
Yeah,
little
he
bit.
definitely had more confidence out there. You can tell from the way he was skating last year to this first game that he had more confidence in himself. And I believe we spoke about that last year with him, going through the rehab and, knocking out the extracurricular pharmaceuticals, we'll just say. And, that for an athlete, young athlete, that's probably been part of his regimen or his psyche or whatever. And to take that out of his game, out of his lifestyle, getting clean and trying to, fight that daily struggle for the addiction. He was unsure of himself. I think that he, found out some things last year, going through the season. And hopefully he's figured things out on a personal level and a professional level. And we can see that koozie that we saw back in 2018.
Absolutely. And for me, I feel like you go from a koozie that so many fans put on a pedestal in 2018 and how fantastic he was and as a player the whole season and in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden it was a big letdown. It was a big disappointment and he definitely hit his rock bottom. And I was impressed with these last with the Rangers game and the Tampa Bay game. I think he is really out there to say to the fans, like, hey, listen, I have matured and grown up and realized, what I need to do. And I'm out here for the team. And I think that definitely is shown at least the last two games.
Yeah, real quickly, I have a scoring update. Ryan Tannehill is the man. He just did a great play fake. It's supposed to be like it looked like a running play. It faked everybody, and he just had a really solid run from a quarterback position, and really escaped. Like a guy had him, and he just pushed through right to the line and scored a touchdown. So they're up 17-13 now over the Bills. 4:23 left in the first half. So I just wanted to give a little scoring update on that. But I was really happy with how the first game went, and I know that some people are really bummed how the second game went. But let's just get into the scoring of that. Obviously, there's a goal that gets called back that ends up being kind of crucial. So break down all the goals, and then we can talk about how this game panned out.
Sure thing. So Saturday we played Tampa Bay, and there were no goals in the first. And then at the second period, we have Ovechkin at 18:51. Scoring assisted by TVR and Tom Wilson. Third period, Sergachev scores at 4:23, and that just basically tied it up. And that name alone, you're just kind of like, Newman, like having like one of those moments going into overtime. And here we go with Stamkos scoring at 4:45 in overtime. And I told Gil on our podcast before, like when you have those two names kind of going back to back, it's like you just kind of have to chalk it up as like they are just fantastic players. And then of course you have to consider who was between the pipes. And Vasilevsky is he's just a phenomenal player. Like a phenomenal goalie. You just can't take that away from.
I think he might be the best goalie right now. I mean, personally, just there's a reason why they won back-to-back cups. I mean, ultimately the team is stacked, and maybe more so than should legally be able to have. But whether you debate that or not, like they always the constant through it all, no matter who is injured or on long-term injured reserve or whatever, is him. And you can score all the goals that you want to score and have all the greatest goal scorers, but if you don't stop the ones from the other team, you're not going to win the championship. I mean, we won it because of Holtby, think about the save and how that changed, the course of history for the Capitals. And I think both goaltenders played phenomenal. I know some people complained and said, "Oh, it's such a low-scoring game." And there was so many good scoring chances. Both teams played a phenomenal hockey. It looked like a late-season game more than like the second game of the season.
It should have been a low-scoring game considering who the Capitals were playing against. I mean, it's like their roster and our roster, and we have,
neither team makes a lot of mistakes. And,
absolutely.
And the other thing is we had our opportunity. We had a 2-minute power play in overtime, and if you don't score in that, the likelihood of winning the game, is drastically down. And they were able to kill it, and they have Steven Stamkos, fresh on the ice, and it's hard to beat him, 3-on-3 in that situation. So for me, it's a coin flip game, right? You score on that power play, we win the game. Overall, I was pretty happy with that. I know that there was a second OV potential goal. The blocker was over it. You couldn't see it cross the line. By the letter of the NHL rule, they made the right call because you didn't see white between the puck and the line. The sucky thing is, like, you can kind of assume that there was, but, it's kind of a way around it where if you put the blocker over it, it kind of, like, disguises it, right?
It did not go. It was the way that the speed that it was traveling and the fast as he got his hand over it. It's no way the puck cleared the line over so they can try to make as much controversy as they want. They replayed it. I looked at it over and over. At the speed that the puck was creeping over the line, Vasilevsky, he put his hand over before it even had a chance to get completely over the line. So it wasn't a goal. I don't know why folks with the conspiracy theory. It was a good save by Vasilevsky. It bounced off of him, he recovered, and it didn't go in. It to me, the speed of the puck, the way it was drifting across the line, and his reaction, it wouldn't have crossed. I don't think that.
Yeah, but it's just amazing, right? I mean, to have that kind of, it's no other goalie, I don't think, in the league makes that save.
No, and I think it was like, you watch it and it's like a hair. It's like, it is just, but you have to watch his position right before it happens and how he reacts. And like, that to me is just ultimate skill right there.
So you just tap your hat to a team like that.
Exactly.
And you hope that you beat them the next time.
And you hope, Vanacek and Samuel get there very, very soon, but you can't take that away.
I thought, Vitek Vanacek played a hell of a game.
Yes,
I mean,
he did.
You're not going to blame him from a sniper shot from someone like Steven Stamkos. I mean, that's like someone trying to blame an Ovechkin shot. They're right in that.
True.
In my mind, Stamkos is right up there with Ovechkin with a lethal shot. And I mean, look at how much damage he's done to the Capitals over the years. But it's for me, you're not going to stop it. So I thought he played a great game. Although I would like to still see Sammy, I think, in this next game, just because I think it's important that we don't go too many games without seeing him.
I think, honestly, I think they'll ride Vanacek for the next home game, and I think we will see Sammy in the first away game against the Devils.
That could make some sense. Carol, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm good with Double V, man. I told you I'm not sold on Sammy. So I mean, if Double V continues to play, I give up 2 goals in 2 games. One the overtime goal. But I mean, he's been playing solid. He's looked confident coming out of the season, just like he did last year. I say, let it ride and see what he do. But yeah, Sammy probably will get the next game on the road if he felt like going with Double V for 3 straight. I don't have a problem with that, especially with the way that he started the season out, the way he's played in goal. And then, get Sammy, get the next one and see what he looks like, get his first start, maybe give him a start or 2 in a row just to, get him a little warmed up and see what he looks like.
Yeah, I just thought I'd give each goalie a home game. I feel bad that you're like, your first game is going to be on the road. I guess if it is, I forget if it's the Devils. I didn't even look ahead. But, but for me, it's like, the Colorado, I guess if that's your number 1 team and you think that Double V is your number 1 goalie going into the season, then I guess that's the right decision. It's just funny because you put more money and more thought process into Sammy, so it's funny that Double V is then your number 1A. Like, I just don't know what the thought process is.
Well, I think honestly, I think the thought process is that Sammy's got to prove himself because after COVID and everything, I think people lost a lot of, I don't know if it's respect, but it's like, come on, like there were certain situations that he could have avoid it, and he didn't. And then he gets, and the COVID protocol kicks in. We expected more and hoped for more. And Vanacek stepped up, and I think he was fantastic. And so I would say play him, Tuesday against the Avalanche at home, and then see what happens against Jersey, because, kind of new roster mix up with that team. It's away. I don't know. See what happens. Of course, nobody's asking me my opinion on the Capitals bench, but I would say I would love to give VTech a chance to go up against the Avalanche, because I think that's a hell of a team to watch for again this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, the New Jersey Devils will play Seattle next, who got a win actually, and I thought their first game was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Too. I was rooting for them against Vegas. That was exciting, comeback, and it's cool to see a 32nd team now in the NHL again.
Right.
Or for the first time an even number. It's been a while. It's been 4 years, I guess, since Vegas, 4 or 5 years. So. But yeah, it's going to be, the Devils did beat Chicago. Fleury's been having some trouble there. So that'll be interesting. I do think they also play the Calgary Flames on Saturday. That game's back at home. It's a 1:00 game. And then they also play at Ottawa on Monday. So next week when you guys are on, you're going to be on at the tail end of that Ottawa game. So
right.
That'll be interesting. I may, if I get Zach down, tune in to watch you guys see the end of that game. But it's going to be an interesting stretch here. I mean, Colorado is the odds-on favorite by most people to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But here's what's kind of a funny stat about that. One of the top odds choices going into this year was also the New York Rangers. So clearly, Vegas doesn't
nothing. That stuff means nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they had the Rangers obviously doing better than they clearly are. So
I don't know. For me, it's honestly, we're 2 of 82 games in. So who the hell?
Also, I'm curious how the Avalanche
Yeah.
would do in the end without Grubauer. I mean, he was a big part of their success last season.
Absolutely.
And he became a free agent, and Seattle took him. And thankfully, because without that move, we couldn't have gotten Vitek Vanacek back for a steal, which we basically got for flipping, Dylan, which is the person we wanted Seattle to take in the first place. So we got an extra draft pick out of that. So I don't know how the GM was able to do all of that, but I'm so thankful that Gruby went there and we were able to get Double V back, because as Carol says, he's currently Carol's favorite goalie of the two. So I'm happy about that. So Carol, real quick, your thoughts on Colorado, Jersey, Calgary, and Ottawa. It's an interesting week ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely some quality competition that the Capitals going to face. Like you said, Colorado is so-called favorite for the Stanley Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Caps stack up against, one of the teams that's supposed to be, on that verge of, breaking through. And it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be a fast game, because we know Colorado's all about their speed and offense like the Capitals used to be. The Devils, they have been playing some decent hockey to start the season. They've been scoring some goals. I haven't got a chance to take a close look at them. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, Devils were crushing it in preseason. Like, some of their fans got super psyched about that. I was like, I don't even know what that means. But I can't believe that you're going to pin your hopes. They were like, we're going to be better than the Rangers this season because we're having an amazing preseason. I was like, I don't know about that.
Not so much.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I mean, they did win their first game where the Rangers lost. So, that's something. But anyway. But, Carol, what are your thoughts on Ottawa?
Ottawa. I thought it was Calgary they played. Thought it was
I'm sorry, it's Calgary on Saturday and then Ottawa on Monday.
Yeah, Calgary, they're going to be here, so we know how fast the ice is up in Calgary. So I think now here's going to be another physical game in the first 3. I mean, of this week they should win at least 2 out of 3. I'm saying I definitely can't wait to see the Colorado game tomorrow, and Ottawa. I haven't had a chance to get a close look at them to see what moves they made in all season, but they're always a solid defensive team, always have good goaltending, and they just have some issues with scoring every now and again. So I have to check them out to see what they're looking like this year. I haven't had a
So
chance to check them out.
Ottawa's won 2 games. They've beaten Dallas, and I believe Braden Holtby was in.
Yeah.
Holtby got hurt, I think, in the other game, so he didn't play in that one. So they were able to beat Dallas with their backup goalie. They were able to beat Toronto in the opening night, but they also lost to Toronto 2 days later. So they're right now 2-1, and they'll play San Jose and then the Rangers before they play the Capitals. The Ottawa report, I guess. Yeah, it'll be fun that you guys get to talk about a live game again, because we used to do it earlier, and so it's like when the game starts. But now it'll line up with the more exciting part of the game. We'll see you guys stress it out while you talk about the other games. But Anna, thank you so much for all the kind words and stuff. And I haven't gotten a chance to hear the Power Play Point podcast, but I do appreciate the kind words that you said during that. It's been hard to hear any of the other podcasts with having a newborn baby, but
I relate.
I appreciate you and Gil. And again, if anyone goes sportsothp.com, click the podcast partners button, and you can get the Power Play Point podcast there, and you can find AnnaK on all social medias. We always tag her in this stuff as well. But Anna, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, I was excited to see you guys both, and many, many congratulations to you and Liz and Zach. That's very exciting. We look forward to hearing about paternity leave. And Carol, you and I have 3 games plus a 4th game live next week, and I will be so ready for it.
I'm excited to see what you guys do. It'll be weird to not be a part of Hockey Talk, but I had to be a part of this first one.
Yes, you did.
You know, it was such a great way to start the season, and I know you guys are going to kill it. And when I come back in January, I actually have fun news. I'm going to be going to a game, so I'm thinking during one of these the games. This is just inside baseball. I haven't even talked to Carol about this. I might go Zoom, join the Zoom, see if it even works. From the arena, and just even mute it, and you can just like watch some sights and sounds, or give some audio feedback, wear an AirPod maybe to hear you guys. But it could be kind of fun. It's against the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm going with a group of Capitals fans, including ones from across the pond who are joining us.
Great.
So it will be a fun, crazy time with Caps fans. So maybe I can jump into the chat remotely and be a correspondent or something in January. That's going to be like middle to end of January. But You'll be back.
Definitely need to get a Grant Green sound bite.
Yes, exactly. So, but that'll be a lot of fun. But I'll be back a couple of weeks before that to start January once I'm back from winter break and paternity leave. But thank you guys so much for doing all the hockey coverage. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to stay on with Carol, but any final things, Anna, before we let you go?
No, look forward to Carol. I'll see you next week. I won't let you guys down. I promise.
No, you're good.
And we'll talk. Yeah. So take care. Give that baby some snuggles, and I will, and Carol, I'll see you a week from today.
All right. See you next week. Appreciate you coming on.
All right. Take care.
All right. I'm about to go ahead and get into the football talk. I know Brian Brennan's already waiting in the wings. I know Robbie said he'll stick on for a little while, so I'm gonna go ahead and play the highlight reel.
I'm just gonna do like a quick, because I said I was gonna be done before 10, so my thoughts are gonna be quick. So maybe I give my thoughts before the highlight reel, and then you go into it and do it with because I was supposed to be already off technically by now.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll just give my quick little thoughts, and then you can go to the highlight reel, and then we can bring Brian in. Which I appreciate Brian for jumping in on the football talk. My quick thoughts are: we started off so strong. I am frustrated by the Sean Taylor situation. I did watch the presentation. I wasn't blown away by it. It was okay. It was. I wish that there had been more for him. I appreciate the gestures that the team has done. And I don't necessarily believe in all of like the hype that it's like this huge conspiracy theory, but at the same time, I think that they could have announced this sooner and done a better job with this. Sean Taylor is one of my all-time favorite Redskins, and it's frustrating to see this. But overall, I'm happy that they retired the number. I want to celebrate that. I don't want to harp on it too much. But the game was really exciting in the first half. I was really impressed that we were leading. But then Andy Reid made a hell of a lot of adjustments, as he always does. And we just couldn't get anything going in the second half. And we fell apart to a much better team, in my opinion. So it's not like we were the worst team. We were supposed to beat them or whatever. But overall, I was super happy with the first half. It gave me a false sense of hope. I was a little bit disappointed with the second half, but I hope that the football team is able to turn it around against Green Bay. They have a tough 2 weeks coming up here before the bye week, but I hope that they can turn around. If they win these next two, it'll obviously change the trajectory of the season, but it's going to be tough to go to Green Bay. But anyways, that's my quick thoughts on it. But Carol, thank you so much for having me on. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your show tonight, and I'll let you take it away from there.
All right, Robbie, take it easy, man. Have a good night. Appreciate you taking the time to give your insight and get the Capitals talk started off for the season. And I'm about to play the few highlights from the game yesterday and get ready to bring in Brian, and we'll talk some Washington football, and then we'll get in the NBA roundtable after that and finish up episode 245 of Sports on the Hill podcast. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Live from the lab.
They're inside the 10. Mahomes. Intercepted. Off the hands of Tyreek Hill, and that's happened too many times for the Chiefs so far this season. The former Chief, Kendall Fuller, in the right spot, and Kansas City comes up empty.
And if he had walked out and handed it to him, it wasn't better. And Tyreek Hill for the second time in 2 weeks, off of his interception for Washington.
Second down and 20, flip it. Hardman's got raw speed. Oh, he coughs it up! Washington takes over. The question, was he down? Cam Curl comes away with it.
So they're saying he was down by contact, but I don't know about that. Moving. I think that ball was moving and coming out. The hustle by Cole Holcomb was man-free coverage. One single safety, everyone else manned up.
Rush coming. AnnaK, dump off, room to run. McKissick. McKissick accelerates to the 45.
Let's not have anyone go cowboy, go rogue, do your assignment.
Second and 3. AnnaK wide open. Caught by Seals Jones. And he's in. Touchdown, Washington. Ross.
Baseball.
Mahomes lost it. And Mahomes floats it up. Intercepted. Big mistake. Bobby McCain there.
I don't think you can say anything other than at this stage, Kansas City is starting to really press. And what I mean by that is they're trying so hard.
Their first half scoring is at a -25. Mahomes deep drop. Mahomes is dunked. Chase Young.
That's right. We're back. Sports on the Hill podcast, episode 245, coming to you live from the lab. Appreciate Robbie and Anna taking the time out to do Caps talk with us. Now we got Brian Brennan coming in to talk some NFL and Washington football talk. He's a Giants fan, so he pretty much probably don't want to talk about them with Daniel Jones throwing those.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that at all.
I don't know what's going on with him. I thought he was going to make a step forward, but it's like he's taking a step back. So, but
they're just a mess. They're a mess.
I mean, well, like I said yesterday on At the Bar Radio, you guys had a quality quarterback for 15, 16 years, got you 2 Super Bowls. So I really don't have any pity on you right now. The quarterback position, being a Washington football team fan, and the quarterback carousel that we've had here. So I just say, welcome to the game of trying to find a quality quarterback for your team.
Yeah, all right. I mean, the Giants are right back where they started from, basically, before they had Eli. They were looking for a long quarterback for a long time, and now I feel like they're right back in that same boat that they were in. It's going to take them a while to find him, I guess.
Well, we'll see. We've been looking for over 20 years. Hopefully it doesn't take y'all that long. But let's go ahead and get into the latest Washington football team talk. Unfortunate loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Excuse me, 31-13. Game started out looking optimistic that the Washington football team would be able to possibly upset the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a 13-10 halftime lead, forced 3 turnovers, a fumble, and 2 interceptions. Had great field position, but were only able to get 13 points out of the defense's strong showing in the first half. Kansas City had a lot of yards, but they only had 10 points, 2 sacks, like I said, 3 turnovers, and they had Kansas City, reeling a little bit, and it looked possible that the Washington football team would beat this team, but unfortunately, the NFL game is 60 minutes and not 30 minutes, and Washington only played 30 minutes. As Robbie said, Andy Reid, who is a great offensive play caller and coordinator and head coach, made some adjustments, and unfortunately, our guys made more mistakes than adjustments and didn't finish the game. Gave up 21 unanswered points to lose the game 31-13. Robbie spoke on the Sean Taylor retirement ceremony. I really don't have an issue with it. I spoke on it. I had Gabe Taylor, Sean Taylor's little brother, who played safety for Rice, had an interview with him on Friday. We spoke about it briefly. He was at the stadium yesterday. He, was at the ceremony. Fortunately, I didn't get a chance to reach out. I was, doing the other shows and at the bar radio. But he mentioned that, they did speak about it. Previously it was, bad execution on with the, them doing it this weekend. They didn't get the notice, but he was able to make it. So I'm not really too upset about it as most of the fan base is. And I've seen a lot of folks on social media upset about it. But, it was a great, great thing. It's only been 3 numbers retired in the organization's 89-year history. So, like I say, just embrace that. His daughter was there. I understand that she was, got emotional watching some of the highlight reel that they had of Sean and his life and everything. There's also a movie in the works called The Safety. I'm actually about to reach out to see if I can, get into the mix with that. The guy that put me on with the Gabe Taylor interview, Steve Rosenberg, actually wrote the book about Sean Taylor's life with Pedro Taylor, Sean's father. We've been in communication for a while, so yeah, stay tuned. I'm working on some things, trying to get some things, with Redskin Nation, some of the other organizations in the DC sports arena, so stay tuned for that. But Brian Brennan, outside looking in, some people call me a homer, say I'm always optimistic, and I don't, I should be upset with everything that's going on with this team in the media and on the field and the history. But this Kansas City game, we pretty much chalked it up as a loss. This isn't the same Kansas City Chiefs team's role, but what did you take away from what you've seen of this game from yesterday?
Well, on the actual game itself, Washington did look very good in the first half, I thought. Going into this game, Kansas City has looked kind of vulnerable this season. They had lost 3 games up to that point already. And in all those losses, they had just really not looked very good, especially the one to the Bills the week before. So I kind of did think – I didn't think WFT was going to win, but I did think that they were definitely in a position where they could compete with Kansas City. And then in the second half, Kansas City was just much, much better. You mentioned it. They pitched a shutout in the second half. The defense that has been so bad all season for Kansas City really stepped up in a big way in that second half, I thought, and was able to completely neutralize the Washington offense, which just really didn't look good at all in the second half. You mentioned it, 21 unanswered points. On the day they retired, number 21. Pretty crazy to think about. They scored 21 unanswered points. Just a tough loss, but it's to a better team, and it starts a pretty tough stretch for Washington football, having to go to Green Bay next week to play the Packers, who are on fire. They've won 5 games in a row. As far as the Sean Taylor thing goes, I debated about this with Robbie a little bit. First off, I think it's great that his family is okay with it and that they were all there. That was really cool. I was really impressed that his family was able to gather like that, especially on such short notice. Excuse me. And I think it's really cool that you were able to interview his brother. That's awesome, Carol. I thought the interview was great. I'm really impressed that you were able to make that happen. Unfortunately, I just can't get over the fact that this was 3 days notice in the middle of a week with just terrible, bad press. You guys are fans. That's fine. You guys have your opinion on it. That's fine. But 3 days after a week with just nothing but bad press, to me, it feels kind of disrespectful to the legacy of Sean Taylor to use his name like that. And it's unfortunate. I love Sean Taylor. Having lived in D.C. for a while now, I realize what kind of impact he had on Washington fans. But for his name to be his name to be used like this felt kind of disrespectful to me, honestly. That's how I feel about it. I get that you guys feel differently, but that's personally how I feel about it. It felt like it was used as a way to cover up bad news, to sweep bad news under the rug, or alternatively as a way to sell more tickets to balance out the number of people in the stadium because they knew there were going to be a lot of Chiefs fans there yesterday. It could be both, but that's just kind of how I viewed it. Yeah, tough loss for Washington football, and I'm not a huge fan of the number retirement.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the whole situation with the so-called bad press with the stuff with John Gruden that we broke last week. Email to Bruce Allen, I really don't see how that shines badly on the organization, but with the bad press the team has received over the last couple of years, it could be a nuclear bomb explosion there, find a way to link it to the Washington football team and blame us somehow. So, I mean, I'm really numb to all the, people being upset and people being butt. I put the post out last week. I feel about some of Washington football team fans are like abused spouses. And what do they tell you in an abusive relationship? Get out. If you don't like what's going on with the organization, leave. Stop the negative posts. Stop the whining online. Either ride with the team and see what happens and ride. It's week 6 of year 2 of a new coach taking on trying to redo an organization that's been dysfunctional for over 25 years. And folks are getting butthurt and upset because they're not getting instant gratification. You're not going to fix 25 years of dysfunction in 2 years. So, yeah, the ball is going to get dropped on some things. Things are going to get messed up, but they're moving in the right direction. You might not get the results you get that you want to get on the field. Yes, 7-9 season last year, they won a division. I'm starting to think that was a bad thing because it gave folks a false sense of where this team was, including myself. But I'm also realistic and not going to be whining and crying about, oh, this is messed up. It's football. It's not an exact science. There's one team that's going to be a winner at the end of the year, and that's a Super Bowl champion. So everybody has work to do. No organization is perfect. No owner is perfect. And all of y'all folks that's on this Dan Snyder, the organization isn't going to be good until he's gone. Once again, ride with the team and see what happens, or go elsewhere. He's not selling the team. They have nothing on him to force him to sell the team. The Jeff Bezos hack job for
I just want to chime in, Carol. This investigation that got John Gruden fired was an investigation originally into the Washington football team. So there could be more stuff that comes out that could force Dan Snyder to possibly, hopefully, sell the Washington football team. That's what I'm hoping for.
It's not going to happen because the whole ploy with Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post with the sexual, that was their best shot at getting him taken off of it because he can get voted out for things that are detrimental to the league. That was their best shot. They took it. They tried to link Larry Michael to him. They tried to link all the stuff to him, but he has nothing to do with the sexual harassment stuff. Now, this other stuff with the John Gruden email, that was the Bruce Allen. Wasn't the Daniel Snyder. Daniel Snyder, her name hasn't been linked to any of this. So Daniel Snyder is a smart, young businessman who knows how to keep his hands clean and knows the law and knows the rules. If you give a smart, rich man the book of how to follow the rules and not screw yourself, he's going to walk the line. And honestly, I don't have the same feelings about Daniel Snyder that everybody else does. When he first came into the league, yes, he was an arrogant dude that didn't know what he was doing and was melanin and everything and all going on with that. But now, the last 5 to 8 years, all he's done is been in the background. Everybody's like, he needs to stop being in front of the camera. He doesn't know football. Now he steps back and folks are still whining about whatever he's doing when clearly Ron Rivera is running his team. He had the first draft with no general managers to show that, hey, I'm the one making the call on these players. No Dwayne Haskins rumors that he wanted him to. No, he did. He cut Dwayne Haskins. Now, if it was still Snyder's team and Snyder wanted Haskins on the team, wouldn't that cause a problem? So this is Rivera's team. I understand the fans are, frustrated and angry from all of the dysfunction. That's cool. I can dig that. But like I said, you're like an abused spouse. You say you love the team, but you swear they're doing you so bad and doing you so dirty, then get out of a relationship. Obviously, it's not for you. I know a couple of fans that definitely want to be fans of the teams. That's cool. I'm not mad at you. If you don't like what's going on, that's your right. Do that. But all of this whining on social media and, thinking you know more than the people that's in there that's been in football for, decades. I said it once and I said, if you knew what you were doing, you wouldn't be on Facebook posting, you'll be in that locker room. So that's just my take on it. Like I say, I've played, I've coached, I've written and followed this team for 12 years. I know I don't know all, but I do understand football. That's why I'm not on the ledge every time something doesn't go right, because I understand you're dealing with people. They're athletes. They're human just like everyone else. They're not mad. This isn't a video game where you push a button and they automatically do what you want them to do. Spin, juke, jump. No. These are human beings that have to work as a team in a cohesive unit all together. It takes time to build that. And unfortunately, this team is still building. That 79 record, winning the division, going to the playoffs, might have stunted their growth a little bit because now they had this first place schedule going up against this tougher competition, and now they're being, shown the holes in the team, which is a good thing because now those holes can get filled. But the problem is, it's not just the players; it's also some of the coaches. So hopefully we get that figured out also. But I just had to get that off my chest. I've been holding that in for a while. I was going to do a pop-up show last week, but I got tired of selling cars, so I didn't get a chance to jump online. So, I had to get my 2 cents out there.
And I just want to say I agree with you on the fact that I think winning the division might have been the worst possible thing for this team. Just from an outsider perspective, I'm almost kind of glad the Giants didn't win the division last year now, because that would have put a lot of unnecessary pressure on the team. And let's be honest, outside of the Cowboys, no team in this division has looked good. I mean, WFT hasn't really looked good. Giants have looked really bad. Eagles also have not looked very good. They got crushed on Thursday night against the Bucs. I agree. I feel like almost winning the division last year was a gift and a curse. Yeah, it got them into the playoffs, but almost at what cost?
Yeah, it gave fans some false hope. Like I said, I was overly optimistic. I didn't take that into. I think I was speaking. I think it was Dujanay or someone I was speaking to earlier, and we were talking about that. Like I think it was Robbie, matter of fact. And we were saying, winning the division might, not have been the best thing for this team. And it is what it is. But we saw what we saw last week. Like I said, over and I've been watching tape from last year as opposed to this year with the defense, and it's like a totally different team. You don't see the same calls. You don't see the same aggressiveness. I mean, I know there's some pieces that aren't here that were here last year. Ryan Kerrigan. I think the veteran presence is what's missing on this defense now, especially with John Bostic being gone for the season. They don't have a veteran voice out there. Ryan Kerrigan, even though he didn't get as many snaps as he wanted, he was still that veteran leader on the sideline and on the field when he was out there. I mentioned the Landon Collins, Bobby McCain experiment might need to come to an end. I believe Jeremy Reeves is still out there on the free agent market. When Jeremy Reeves and Cam Curl were in the backfield, defensive backfield, we didn't have all these miscommunications and blown coverages. I think it's time to get that man Reeves a call and see if we can get them Cam Curl and Reeves on the field and see if we can get some of that, back end coverage that we had before. Because the secondary was second best in the league last year. And, they added pieces to make it better, and they've gotten worse. A lot of folks complain about William Jackson and his play, saying he's, been getting penalized. He's a man corner. He's been a man corner his whole career. Now you're trying to get him to play zone with his back to the ball when he's used to playing head up, aggressive, bump and run, man at the line. So, yeah, he's going to make mistakes. Yeah, he's going to be out of position because he's not used to doing that. Why would you bring in a free agent that's man and have him running zone all the time? It's mind-boggling. That's why I feel the biggest issue is in coaching on the defensive side and him not putting these players in position to win and in position for the team to, play at his best like we saw last year. So it's very, very frustrating to see the regression of this defense when we were all looking for progress. And A lot of things need to be answered. A lot of questions need to be answered. Ron Rivera, he still seems to have confidence in Del Rio and the talent on this team. It might just be giving us the Bill Belichick, just giving us a sound bite just to get it out of his face, which I don't have a problem with at all, as long as things are getting handled behind closed doors. Some chairs getting thrown, some players getting yelled at. Like, hey, you need to step up and play better. So I don't know. We're definitely going to see what's in store for this team. Just quickly go over some of the numbers because I know we have our NBA roundtable waiting in the wings. I know.
And Arun is waiting to be let in, by the way. I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I just checked like 2 seconds ago. See, I was just checking. I was trying to be on top of it, and it wasn't up there, and so I knew that was going to happen. But yeah, I just let him in. So I'm gonna just quickly go over some of these stats from yesterday. I broke it down in the post game yesterday, but just got to get it on the record for Sports in the Hill. I hate to bring up bad news again, but it is what it is. It's the football season. Like it or love it, gotta root for the team. 31-13 loss to Kansas City is now 3-3. Washington's now 2-4, 2-3 in their last 5. Still second in the East, ahead of Philadelphia and the Giants. Behind Dallas, who's 5-1. Patrick Mahomes went 32 for 47 for 397 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, with a 90.5 quarterback rating. Heineke had another performance with going 24 for 39, 182 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 70.7 quarterback rating. Darrell Williams for the Chiefs had 21 carries, 62 yards, 3-yard average with 2 touchdowns. J.D. McClissick led the team in rushing with 8 rushes, 45 yards with a 5.6-yard average. Antonio Gibson had 10 carries for 44 yards with a 4.4-yard average and 1 fumble. They also said that he will be having an MRI. He had that shin fracture. I think they got aggravated. I thought, the reason why they was getting McClissick more touches because of the fumble. It's only a second fumble of the season, but it was at a crucial time in the game, just like the first one was. I was hoping to see more of Jared Patterson. He only had 1 carry for 5 yards. So with Gibson going through what he's going through with his injury and maybe some of the, not saying fumbling issues, but securing the ball, hopefully we'll see some more Jared Patterson against Green Bay. Because one of my keys to victory was running the ball to keep the Kansas City offense off of the field, which they did in the first half, but Scott Turner got a little pass happy in the second half, and Kansas City got it together and did what they did. Like I said, time of possession and running the ball, keeping other offenses off of the field is going to be key in this stretch run that the Washington football team has going up against some of the quarterbacks they're going up against. In the passing game, Tyreek Hill had 9 receptions, 76 yards, 8.4-yard average and a touchdown. Ricky Seals-Jones led the Washington football team with 4 catches, 58 yards with a 14.5-yard average and a touchdown. The team had 15 first downs, were 7 for 14 on third down conversions, had 94 rush yards, 182 passing yards, 276 total yards, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble. They only had the ball for 26 minutes. Kansas City had the ball for 33 minutes. And most of that was on that last drive, that 95-yard drive that probably basically put the icing on the game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Washington had opportunities to, put a stranglehold on this game in the first half with the 3 turnovers, but only were able to get 13 points out of it. And unfortunately, the offense shows flashes but hasn't been consistent. I feel like Scott Turner's play calling was better this game, but better than for the first half, as to opposed to most of the games that he's called. Second half, I felt like the city got too pass happy. He didn't stick with the run, didn't mix up his plays. He was, like I said, sometimes I feel like I'm watching Jay Gruden's offense again. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting against Green Bay next week. 5-1, looking pretty good. Like I said, I feel like they can, beat Green Bay if they can play 4 quarters the way they played the first 2 quarters. Then they could, pull an upset in Lambeau. Brian, what do you think about this upcoming game against Green Bay and everybody's favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, but mine?
I was just about to comment on Aaron Rodgers, who's just been absolutely on fire lately, and what's considered his last dance for the Green Bay Packers. Rodgers has been absolutely great lately. Yesterday, he had a really good game against the Chicago Bears, and he had a memorable touchdown celebration afterwards. He scored a rushing touchdown, and afterwards he started screaming at Bears fans, "I still own you! I still own you!" which I thought was pretty funny. He's on fire. Devontae Adams has also been a beast all season. They're going to be tough to beat, especially in Lambeau. I think they're still the best team in their division by far. Again, that's not a whole lot of competition in that division, but I think they're still the best team. It's going to be a tough game. Like I said, I was impressed that WFT hung with the Chiefs for the first half. If they can put together a complete game, like you said, they really only played 30 good minutes in the game yesterday. If they can put together a complete game, they might have a chance. But I just think the Packers are on fire right now. It's going to be tough to beat them. I don't have a ton of confidence. The defense still does not look great to me for WFT. I don't have a ton of confidence in them going to Lambeau and being able to get a win against Aaron Rodgers personally.
Yeah, it's possible. I just see that Dugenay hit me up, and he said he can pop on real quick. I guess we can get him to jump on real quick and get
Go ahead.
Yeah, and get his take on this game and upcoming. So hopefully he still has the link and he can jump on if he's still tuned in. I was trying to do a lot of stuff over here, Dugenay. I just saw you had text me. Let me send him a text real quick. I don't see him popping in. Yeah, the Green Bay Packers, like I said, I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. I feel like they could, he has one Super Bowl championship. That's pretty much all I got to say. They say that he's never had help, and he's a great quarterback and all this and that. I'm like, he's a good quarterback, but I really can't see him as the way people put him as one of the greatest quarterbacks out there or whatever. I can't give him that. Do you put him in that category, Brian? You're not as big as a football fan as I am, but do you consider him one of the great quarterbacks to play the game?
Oh, without a doubt. I think Aaron Rodgers is fantastic. I mean, I know he's only won one Super Bowl, but I think just from what he can do on a football field, there's very few people who have done what Aaron Rodgers can do on a football field. I've always been impressed with Aaron Rodgers. I honestly, I know in Green Bay, they've had a lot of great quarterbacks. They had Bart Starr, they had Brett Favre, and they had Aaron Rodgers. And personally, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably the best out of all of them compared to what he's done. I know I agree with what you said about, only one championship is tough, but a lot of guys never won any championships. Dan Marino never won a championship, and he's one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever lived. So I still think Aaron Rodgers, and there's still time for him to get another ring. Like I said, I think this is his last year in Green Bay. They've been kind of indicating that this is the last dance for him as a Packer. But I can see him going somewhere else, like maybe the 49ers or somewhere like that, and competing for a ring. I could see Aaron Rodgers. I would not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers still ends up his career with more than one championship ring.
I would be shocked to see it if it happens. Cool, but like I said, I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. That's why I feel like this team can beat Green Bay if they play, better football than they did. Like I said, we saw a half. We saw the potential of what this team could do defensively when they play solid football, make the tackles, and they have a game plan that makes sense. We saw blitzes, we saw stunts, we saw some man coverage mixed in and not as much zone. So we need to see that more consistently, and we just haven't seen it. But we got Dugenay. He's busy coming off another appearance on another show, so we were lucky enough to get him on at the end of our Washington football team talk to get his impressions of this game and what he thinks about what's going to happen against Green Bay, if it's going to be a laugher or if his team actually has a shot.
I feel sorry. I have to say I'm sorry. I said they were going to get boat raced. They actually fought pretty good. Like you said, I heard you and Brian say that 30 minutes of good football. It's still some of the same problems. I do not like that, it's coaches speak, and I don't think we can be too mad at Ron Rivera. This is who he's been through Carolina. He doesn't give up a lot of talk on, he's not going to elaborate too much, let's put it that way. But to sit up here and say you like the things that are going on out there on the field, I don't see how you can like the things that are going on out there on the field. I think that's a little bit that's crap. What's going on out on the field is pretty rough on the back end, especially on the defense. Some of the same things we're seeing every week. I thought you made a great point, Carol, earlier. A lot of people coming down on Jackson. The guy's a man corner, and I felt like from the beginning, this is what we need. This is what this team needs to be doing: is playing man. And maybe you need to have some packages where Landon Collins is who he is and is what he is. Stop putting that dude in coverage. I mean, we say that every week, you know. I think just fans are just looking at the fact that there are a lot of things that aren't going well, and they want to see change. And I'm okay with that. But they have to come to a realization that there's going to have to be some mix-ups in schemes and personnel. Just what it is. I mean, I don't know how you can keep banging your head against the wall and say we were 5 good plays away, a week ago. You're 5 good plays, 5 bad plays away from really changing the dynamic in the football game. And I'm going to tell you, you ain't 5 bad plays away from Jack. Like, there's a lot going on here that's not working, and it's been that way week after week. It's unfortunate. Like I said, what people are talking about offensively, and that's fine. But I think Tyler Heineke is what he is. You're gonna get good play, and you're gonna get some wild stuff going on here and there. It is what it is, and you're gonna have to live with it. But other than that, I think this week I have to really go ahead and say, Turner, you did some things that stifled the offense at the most inopportune time. The calls were not very good in certain instances. The ball's moving, the offense moving, everything's going very well. And then the next thing you know, we're making calls on things that, that just completely stifle the offense. Other than that, though, it is what it is. It's much of the same. How do they look against Green Bay? If they can play how they played for 60 minutes in the first 30 minutes, you might have a ball game. But Brian's right. I'm not, and I'm with you. I'm not a Aaron Rodgers guy either. But at the end of the day, he's balling. They're on a roll right now. I do not believe they are as good as they are. I think you must consider the teams that they have played. I think this Washington team, everyone feels that it's better than what it has shown. But I am not sure that they can win this ball game. I think if anything, it's more like what we saw this week. It'll be close early because, the Bears kept it close early as well against Green Bay. I think it'll be close early, and I think you're going to see about a 28 to 30 point, pickup, and it's going to be 30 to, Washington can at least score 21 points easy when they're going and things are hitting on all cylinders, and you don't have, Scott Turner flubbing up the offense when it's working well and running well and making weird calls that stifle the offense. This is what it is, guys. And like you said, I think I said it last year, and everybody's like, oh, Ron Rivera is about winning. And I did not think that was a good idea. You got to be what you are. And, this has kind of come back to bite them. But I do agree with you, Carol. I heard it earlier. You made a point that this is also allowing them to see what deficiencies that they have, and they can address those in the drafts and free agency, which I believe they've done an excellent job of in the last couple of years, and it's going to take that. And we all know that they need a quarterback as well. But, it's just exposing some things for them. Dallas is the cream of the crop of the division for now. I think they're playing I think they're playing well spite their coaching. I know a lot of people are talking about Diggs, and we talked about this on the show I just came off of. Diggs is giving up over 1,000 yards in receiving yards. He's just snatching the ball out of the air and getting guys because his speed, he can run some things down. And that's it. But, I don't think the division as a whole, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are as good as they're showing right now. And I'm just going to come out and say that. I think they're going to show that they're not that good, especially defensively. Overall, though, this is what you got. You know what I mean? And really, honestly, if it stays this way, if Washington can start to get it together in the end of the season, they play the division. And we know how division games go. It doesn't matter how great or how poor these teams are. Somebody can come up and sneak a game here or there. And I think Washington can do that if they can get it together. I think people just need to chill on the coaching staff and all this. Let's not go with all this firing stuff. This is what Washington fans love to do. They want to come out and bring out the Gatling gun and fire everybody. But this is about building, and you have to understand where you were and where you're trying to go. And it takes time, and it takes some perseverance. And right now, let's be real, you don't have a quarterback. You haven't had one. So there's other important pieces, and they're going to do that and going to work their way to get there. But the first place schedule really sucks, and it hurts this team overall and as far as its growth. But lastly, I'll just agree with you, Carol. Looking at things from last year to this year, defensively, it's not the same. They're not running the same things. It's not the same. And I know the personnel's a little different, but you added some pretty cool pieces in the overall, back half that are supposed to be improvements. And I just think that it's a coaching thing. It's a schematic thing. It's a player thing. It's a whole 9 yards, and they've got to change that. And I believe in time they will, but it is what it is. You just got to go with it.
No doubt, no doubt. It's only a matter of time. Just got to, fix what's broke. Just like I said with with Coach saying that, he didn't see any issues with what's going on. That one.
Not buying it.
As I said, I hope he's, saying that just for the media and, behind closed doors, he's throwing some chairs and breaking some monitors and yelling at some people because something needs to get done because obviously what they're doing isn't working, at least not to my eyes. I don't know what they see, but not to me, it hasn't been working. But
it hasn't.
Yeah, so I like I say, I'm always going to be optimistic on football, man. I say, a good week of practice, some adjustments, some game planning, and this team can turn it around. But that's a lot to ask in 1 week. Hopefully they can figure something out and we can get, 4 quarters of football. And if we get 4 quarters of football like we got for the half this week, I think I think they'll be fine against Green Bay and maybe can pull an upset, get a step closer to getting to 500. Because I'm tired of those double-digit losing season numbers, man. That ain't cool. But the way things are looking now, they don't right the ship. We're gonna be looking at one of those seasons again. But let's go ahead and get ready to wrap up this Washington football team talk. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on, Dujane. I know you got a full slate. Let the folks know what you got going on this week with your podcast and the other stuff you got going on.
Well, we will be doing the Not Bland show on Ghostcast. We'll be talking NHRA. The Bristol race just happened. There are 2 races left in the NHRA playoffs, so we'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about some things that really grind my gears about this weekend and what happened and transpired with the NHRA. On top of that, we're going to be shooting for next week with the breakdown. We will be talking about NBA. We'll talk about the Washington football team, of course, and we'll be talking about some other, just fun stuff. How about the Chicago Sky? That's pretty cool. And we'll be talking about a little bit about that, what's going to happen here down the road with the WNBA and what we look forward to with the Mystics. That is it, man. You can follow me at NotBland21. And love talking shop with you guys. And as always, man, I appreciate you, Carol. Sorry I had to come in late, but I always try to make time when I can.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you got a chance to jump on. I know you got a busy schedule, got a lot of stuff going on. So appreciate you taking the time. And catch you next time, or maybe next week, or the next time we can get you on, man. It's
yes, sir.
I know about the grind, bro. I know about the grind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, you take it easy, and we about to get ready to get into this NBA roundtable with Brian Brennan in the room, so they can talk about the Wizards' unfortunate 0-4 preseason, but the season's about to start, so preseason don't really mean nothing. So hopefully they can get it together. And
Lakers.
Yeah, I saw they were 0-5, so I know Lakers fans is really saying, don't worry about it. It's just preseason. It ain't nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and let those guys break that down. I'm going to go ahead and shut my camera off and let Brian take it away and talk some NBA and some Wizards basketball.
All right, well, before we get started with that, Arun, you said you had an Aaron Rodgers point, so I kind of want to hear that. What was that?
Yeah, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, I didn't start him in fantasy football this week, and I started Taylor Heineke over him. So that's not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. I guess I'm not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers.
Now, if I had it with my fantasy football team, I'd start him. Don't get me wrong on that.
Just for this week, because
okay.
I thought this game was going to be a blowout, and the Chiefs' defense isn't that good, and the Bears' defense. But Taylor Heineke, I think he's a leader, though. He's helping my teams win and hold them down.
I only want to talk. I want to forget that game from yesterday, so I'll let you guys go ahead and talk about the Wizards.
All right. So we'll start with the Wizards preseason. Like Carol said, they went 0-4. 2 of those losses were against the Knicks. I would just like to point out the game in DC and the game at Madison Square Garden, the last preseason game for both the Knicks and the Wizards, ended on a Julius Randle buzzer beater. I watched the whole thing. It was awesome. But overall, an 0-4 preseason for the Wizards. I tend to not put a ton of stock into the preseason, especially because Rui Hachimura has been gone for the whole preseason as well. Who knows when he's going to come back? But Arun, how much of the Wizards preseason did you actually watch, and are you taking any stock from anything that you saw?
Yeah, I watched a good portion of the preseason highlights. I didn't watch any of the games, but you can, from 10-minute clip, they show you all the highlights. And the Wizards-Knicks game was actually, the Wizards were up by double digits in the third quarter. And then they took most of their starters out. The Knicks, I think, want to build confidence for the regular season. Bibbs doesn't like resting the guys, and they were able to mount a comeback. It was nice seeing Corey Kispert hit a nice 3 to tie the game. But I don't think anybody really wants to see overtime basketball, so I'm glad Randall hit that game winner. And
especially in the preseason.
Yeah, and preseason, last year the Bucks didn't win a game and the Suns didn't win a game, so it doesn't really matter if you don't really do that well in the preseason. Beal, he got injured in that game, but maybe it isn't anything really that serious. So I think the starters look well in the first 3 quarters, and that's about as much as you can ask for in preseason. And even that doesn't even mean, who knows if that's going to carry over the regular season.
Yeah, I don't put too much stock into the preseason at all. Like, the Knicks went 4-0 in the preseason, and I get what you said about Tibbs trying to build confidence, but at the same time, I really can't put a ton of stock into the preseason because it really doesn't count for anything. The games start for real tomorrow in the NBA, and, I mean, for our teams on Wednesday. So that's when I can officially start to count things, I would say. I don't really worry about what happens in the preseason. Even though I was happy they won on the Randall buzzer beater, you're right. The Wizards did take out most of their starters for a long period of the game, so I really can't put too much stock into it. But anyway, let's move into the Wizards' first couple games of the season. I'm looking at the schedule now. They actually started the season on Wednesday in Toronto against the Raptors. Raptors played most of last season, I think all of last season, in Tampa Bay. So they're going back to Canada for the first time in quite a while, since March 2020. So that'll be exciting for them. They had kind of a down year last year. They missed the playoffs for the first time in a while in Toronto. So they're looking to bounce back. They're actually 2.5-point favorites against the Wizards in the season opener. The Wizards, like I said, it looks like they're probably going to be down Rui Hachimura for at least the first couple games of the season. He's dealing with a personal issue. He was not with the team all preseason. Some other subtractions from the team, just to recap everybody. Russell Westbrook is gone. He was traded to the Lakers for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and who was the third one, Arun? Who was the third? Montrezl Harrell, right? Montrezl Harrell. So that's a huge loss, obviously. But they also signed Spencer Dinwiddie, who I think is going to be – I even said it on this podcast. I think it's going to be a huge addition for this Wizards team this season. I remember when he played in Brooklyn, he was really good for the Nets. So I think, if he's healthy, he could be a really big addition for this team. There's a lot of questions. Will Bradley Beal stay? Will Bradley Beal get the vaccine? That's another question, of course. But no, I think there's a lot of questions about this Wizards team, but I still think they have talent. I could see them winning about 30 to 35 games and maybe contending for a play-in spot if all breaks right. The Eastern Conference has gotten a lot better, I would say. overall, I mean, the Bulls look really good in the East. There's a lot of teams that look solid in the East. But anyway, let's just focus on this first game. Let's just focus on this first game against Toronto. Arun, what do you think about this Toronto game?
The first game for the Raptors without Kyle Lowry, at least not him being injured. He's left to the Miami Heat, but now Toronto has Goran Dragic, and I think Toronto's a really tough matchup for the Wizards in the sense that the Raptors actually play defense really well. Wes Unseld has been focusing most of his practices, 80% of it supposedly on the defensive end. So this could be a really close game. If the Wizards win this game, it'll definitely help solidify whatever playoff chances they have. Like, I kind of agree, they're kind of in the 9 to 7 seed range. Like, they could miss the playoffs, or who knows, they could tank, or they could do really well. But I think they're probably in the play-in range. That's my prediction to start the season.
I agree with you. I think they kind of fall into the play-in range. I think if all breaks right, they could end up as an 8 or a 7 seed, but I think they'll have to fight their way for it in the play-in. Maybe against Toronto. We'll see how it goes. I forgot Kyle Lowry did sign with Miami Heat this offseason. You are right. That's a big addition for Miami and a huge loss for Toronto because he was there for so long, such a huge part of that team. So I'll be interested to see how the Raptors do without Kyle Lowry moving forward. So then the Wizards, they have Thursday off. Then they play their first home game against the Indiana Pacers, who was one of the teams they played in the play-in last year. They absolutely crushed them. They blew them out and got the 8th seed in that game. This is a rematch of that game. It's at Capital One Arena. Another addition speaking of the Pacers, another addition for this Wizards team that I do not think a lot of people are talking about is Aaron Holiday. He looked really good. The one preseason game I saw, the Knicks-Wizards game, I thought Aaron Holiday looked really good. And he played for the Pacers last season, so it could be a bit of a revenge game for him. What are your thoughts going into the Pacers game, Haroon?
Yeah, this game is going to be also super interesting because the Pacers, they made a big coaching change with Rick Carlisle being their head coach.
Yep.
And, as you mentioned, the Aaron Holiday trade happened. But, of course, the Wizards traded their first-round pick to the Pacers. I believe it was a big man. And the Wizards really owned the Pacers last season. I'm not sure if it's going to be like that dominant. This game should be much closer, especially with Rick Carlisle as a big coaching upgrade. He's probably one of the best, if not the best, head coach in the NBA. So they'll pick up the defense. He goes back to Indiana where he led many 50-plus win teams. So it'll be interesting to see the Wizards. This must-win game for the Wizards. I feel like they have to win one of these two games.
Yeah. I agree for sure. It would be nice to get the win at home too. First home game of the season against this Pacers team, which is right in the same boat as them. We talked about it, fighting for the play-in. So we'll see how that game on Friday night goes for the Wizards. They have Saturday and Sunday off. I know we're doing a show next Monday, but they played the Brooklyn Nets that night in Brooklyn. I mentioned how Bradley Beal needs to get the vaccine. Well, Kyrie Irving's right there in the same boat with him. Kyrie Irving will not be allowed to play or practice with the Nets until he is vaccinated. So the Nets are going to be without one of their key superstars for the foreseeable future. I know that next Monday we'll be doing a show probably while this game is going on, but initial thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets matchup, Arun?
I still think Brooklyn is going to beat the Wizards, even without Kyrie Irving, assuming Harden and Durant are healthy. Westbrook actually was a real positive when the Wizards played the Nets, so I don't think the Wizards are going to have all the offensive weapons to keep up with Brooklyn early on the season. But it'll be good if Bradley Beal can get it going to build his confidence. And I think the slight difference between Kyrie and Beal is I think if Beal wants his way out, he's going to probably have to get vaccinated for sure because the teams in California and New York are probably going to be among the teams. Like the Knicks, I think, would be contended for Bradley Beal, and probably the Warriors or Clippers might trade for Beal. I don't know. Like that eliminates a huge portion of the contending team that you're willing to go to, unless Bradley Beal really wants to go to Utah. But
I doubt that. I agree with you. I think the Nets matchup is going to be tough if Harden and Durant are still playing. I would like to see the Nets more at full strength this year, something I mean, that's not going to happen until Kyrie comes back. But I was kind of bummed last year when it felt like the big three, one of them was out almost every night for the Nets, whether it was Kyrie or taking a personal day, or KD dealing with an injury, or Harden dealing with an injury. I would like to see the Nets more at full strength. I feel like they're really exciting when they're at full strength, and really one of, if not the best teams in the East. But either way, I think they'll still have enough to beat the Nets in that game next Monday. That is the first 3 games of the season for the Wizards. Before we turn things back over to Carol, I want to take a look at both the Western and the Eastern Conference and kind of where you see these things going, Arun. I really think it's up for grabs. I think the Eastern Conference, at least at the top, there's between the Sixers, the Nets being without Kyrie, the Bucks, the defending NBA champions, and then other teams like the Knicks, the Bulls, who have improved in a lot of ways. I think Miami, who got Kyle Lowry. I think all these teams, even the Celtics, I could see making some moves this year. How do you see the Eastern Conference shaping up?
Right now, I still see the Nets as the favorite to come out in the East, even without Kyrie Irving, because they did sign Patty Mills. The Bucks, they could run it back too. They lose PJ Tucker, but they get Dante DiVincenzo back. The Knicks, that's a sleeper team, I think, for sure.
Yes, it is.
Their range is really high, but Kemba Walker, just like a year ago in the bubble, the Raptors were playing a 5-1 against him. And if he can be healthy, then the Knicks can do really well. But if he's not, then it could get, I don't know, then they'll just be as good as they were last year, I guess.
Well, I just want to say, Jeff Van Gundy, I thought, made a really good point. I think the ESPN had a conference call ahead of the games earlier this week. And Jeff Van Gundy, I thought, made a really good point. Of course, Jeff Van Gundy used to coach the Knicks. Now he's an analyst for ESPN, ABC. He said the Knicks could potentially get better than they were last season. Remember, the Knicks won 41 games last season, and they could have a better season win total-wise, but still fall a couple spots in the playoff seeding because the East has just gotten that much better. I'm keeping an eye on the Bulls. I'm not 100% on the Bulls hype. I know everybody's talking about them getting Caruso and Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan and all that, but I'm not 100% aboard the Chicago Bulls hype yet. I need to see it in action in an actual NBA regular season game. I know they crushed the preseason, but I need to see it in the regular season. And as far as the West goes, I think the West is interesting too. Utah was the number 1 seed last year. They lost to the Clippers. They blew a 2-0 lead. The Lakers have signed a bunch of veteran type players, including Carmelo Anthony. They brought back Rondo. They brought back Dwight Howard. Of course, they traded for Russell Westbrook. Phoenix, of course, made it to the NBA Finals. Denver is always a good sleeper team in the West as well. Golden State gets Klay Thompson back. Of course, he's still going to be a bit of a work in progress on his way back, but it's still a big piece for Golden State to have as we get back into the season. I don't know. I think the West is going to be tricky this year. How do you see it?
Yeah, the Lakers trade, we have to mention that with Westbrook. I think that makes them, they could potentially lose early for the playoffs relative to the Lakers. I know Westbrook's great in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's not been good the last 3 or 4 seasons. And LeBron needs 3-point shooting. That being said, they did make a lot of good signings, like Kendrick Nunn for the minimum. A lot of pretty interesting signings. So the Lakers could still put it together. They're still probably the favorites, but it's more open than I felt it was last year. Utah, they got Jared Butler from Baylor. He played with Davion Mitchell. Now he gets to play with Donovan Mitchell. That's pretty interesting. And I think if Jamal Murray comes back healthy, then the Nuggets can be in it. Will be enough time to get it going. Probably the Nuggets will probably wait the year after, but they're in the mix. And the Clippers are probably out of the mix if Kawhi is out.
I just thought of 2 more teams I need to ask you about. The Dallas Mavericks, who just hired, obviously you mentioned Rick Carlisle leaving when we talked about the Pacers game. What do you think about the Dallas Mavericks, and what do you think about the Portland Trailblazers, who signed Chauncey Billups? A little controversy around that. What do you think about them? Those two teams.
Yeah, it's interesting because both head coaches have some controversy, but I think Chauncey Billups got even more controversy because I didn't even know about Chauncey Billups stuff until after he signed with the Blazers. but I think the Mavericks are more positioned to make a deeper run because Luka Doncic is really capable of getting to the free throw line. That being said, the new rules could affect Doncic's effect because they're not calling those jump shots and free throws in the preseason.
Yes.
If that continues in the regular season, then they're going to have to rely on Porzingis, and Porzingis has been pretty awful, except in the bubble, a couple games in the bubble against the Clippers last season. So, and Trey Burke was not getting vaccinated with the Mavericks. So I think
former Nick,
yeah, former Nick, former Wizard.
Yep.
And yeah, the Blazers, I don't really think they're gonna make a deep run. They'll probably be fine to make the playoffs unless Phillips is a complete disaster. But I think the Mavericks, they have the potential to go deep just because of Luka Doncic. In the postseason, he's been a little bit better than Lillard, but I don't know if the Blazers have enough pieces outside of Lillard and McCollum. I think Nurkic is kind of overrated, in the playoffs, anyways. And
yeah,
I think they're just Covington's okay. They need another star player, and I don't really see it for the Blazers. As far as getting deep, and they might be, if they struggle, they'll be in the same boat as the Wizards, where they might trade Damian Lillard, especially since even though Lillard and Beal came from the same draft, Lillard is a couple of years older than Beal, so his windows for a championship is potentially for competing for one is a little bit smaller. Plus, he's a bigger star than Beal, and he can probably leverage wherever he wants to go. He really wants that.
And I just want to say, because you brought up the new rules with the foul calls and everything and people leading into shots, we forgot to mention the Atlanta Hawks, who eliminated my Knicks last year in the playoffs. I forgot to mention how good of a team they are. They went to the conference finals last year. They beat the Knicks, and then they beat the Sixers. So the Hawks are another team we have to keep in mind. Trae Young just gets better and better, but he has a really good cast around him. He's got John Collins, Clint Capella, Kevin Huerter, who just got paid today, the UMD product. So keep an eye out for the Atlanta Hawks in the East, too. I agree with what you said about the Dallas Mavericks. And I also agree with what you said about Lillard's championship window closing a little bit faster than Bradley Beal's is. It's going to be interesting to see if he continues to stay in Portland his whole career. He seems like a loyal guy, but we will see if he is ever willing to make that move. I know the Lakers have been rumored to go to – he's been rumored to go there for quite a while, but we'll see. He seems like a loyal guy to me. He might stay in Portland for the rest of his career. Before we turn things back over to Carol, because I know it's been a long night. It's almost 11 o'clock. We all want to go to bed. I want you to get – what is your – I'll give my finals prediction. I'm going to go with the Bucks and the Lakers. I just don't – if the Nets are going to be without Kyrie, I just think that's a huge loss, honestly. I don't know if Harden and Durant, as good as Durant is, by the way, I think Durant's amazing. But if they're going to be without Kyrie, that's a big loss. I mean, and I wonder about the depth on that team. And Milwaukee's been there. They won the championship last year. Giannis just looks like a man on a mission. I'm going with the Bucks to win the East, and I'm going with the Lakers. I'm going to go with the Lakers to win the final. Arun, what's your finals prediction?
My prediction is Nets versus the Jazz. Just to be a little.
All right. Or we both went a little different. I like that. Who do you have winning?
Probably the Nets. I mean,
all right. All right. We'll see who's right at the end of the year. And of course, we'll have the whole roundtable back as the year goes on. Appreciate Arun joining us tonight. Carol, we'll turn things back over to you.
All right. Well, appreciate it. That great NBA coverage. Season starting on Wednesday. Hopefully, you said the 0-4 preseason isn't indicative of what the Wizards team is going to be. I always say, got to have defense. If you don't have defense, and you're already in trouble. So hopefully they can get that remedy. They can play some defense along with some of the offensive players that they have, and can maybe make the playoffs and see if they can have something to build off of. Maybe I'll start watching them again, but I doubt it. Brian, let the folks know what you got going on. I see you back in the shoes after you broke your foot and everything's like it's back to normal. So how's things going and what you got going on your podcast coming up?
Yeah, thank you, Carol. After 3 months of being in a walking boot, I was finally cleared to start wearing shoes again today. So that was a great feeling. It felt really good to put on my shoes again for the first time in almost 3 months. So thank you for bringing that up. My podcast, I'm doing a roundtable this week with Arun and Tim. I'm looking forward to that. As we discuss the NBA, we're going to talk about the Wizards' first game and the Knicks' first game. We're talking about our fantasy league, which is just crazy and has had a bunch of trades lately, as Arun knows very well. And then I'm going to also do a little bit of an MLB recap. I'm not watching any of the American League series between the Red Sox and Astros, but I am very locked into the Braves-Dodgers series, which the Braves have a 2-0 lead in. So I'm going to do a big recap on that on Friday. So stay tuned for all that on Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan. And thanks for having me out, Carol.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm watching the AL and not watching the NL because I don't like the Braves or the Dodgers. I told you this was my worst nightmare. Braves, Dodgers, NLCS. So
Red Sox Astros is my worst nightmare, and it's the ALCS. So there you go.
So I can tell the World Series you're gonna be rooting on the NL team, I'm gonna be rooting on the AL team. We're gonna be on the opposite side of the fences for the first time. So yeah, I saw Boston had 2 grand slams in one game.
And they hit another one tonight, apparently.
Jeez. Wow. So I haven't been paying close attention, but once I saw the Braves and Dodgers, I really tuned out the NL. So I might have to tune into your podcast to see what's going on because, it's 2 teams that I like the least. Yeah, that's not good. Arun, let us know what you got going on with your podcast.
I'm probably going to hit the NBA season tomorrow, probably mostly on my blog, and maybe I'll discuss it in my podcast. And I have to probably do my recap of Ted Lasso for Brian also. I have some thoughts. I actually recorded my thoughts after each episode. I just haven't recorded my thoughts after the final episode, but I do have some thoughts about Ted Lasso season overall. Hopefully Brian will stay tuned. I don't know.
I will.
And I'll give my thoughts about the Wizards. I think they're going to do well, but the rest of the East improved. That's where I'm confused. I'm going to give my thoughts about every single team in my blog tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. So hopefully Carol can become an NBA expert after reading my blog.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I'm old school to the core, man. This old school NBA, but with everything else picking up, I'll see what I can do if I can tune into a game here or there. Caps season starting out a little slow, so I might better catch something on Wednesday. I don't think the Caps play Tuesday and then Saturday, no Thursday. So yeah, I might tune in to watch the season opener for the Wiz on Wednesday night. Who knows? But if you're watching Monday Night Football, it's a very good game between the Bills and the Titans. Bills are up 31-27 with 8:43 left in the fourth. They have the ball trying to add to their lead to try to secure the victory. I'm going against Josh Allen in my fantasy football, but I have the running back and the tight end, so I'm hoping if he does throw another touchdown, he throws it to one of them because I'm only up by 6 points. I'm also watching wrestling. Normally, DC's People Champ will be on. Make sure you check out No Spots Podcast on his Twitch channel and his Facebook. Appreciate y'all guys taking the time out. I'm about to get out of here myself too. Make sure you go check out the website, sportsothp.com. All the latest content, apparel lines, podcast partners, everything linked and affiliated with us. About to end the show with some independent music videos. As always, make sure you tune in to At The Bar Radio. Sunday nights, 6 p.m. Bring you the best independent music videos, entertainment news, DC sports, other politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. See you next week.
I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in the village, she giving me sex. I got a slack, sweat on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in the village, she giving me sex. I got a slack, sweat on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. But I dish it like I give it and go. Counting money while I chill at the stove. How I deliver, I've been at the dough. It's up to you how business will go. That 36 I get for the look. Count it up, no feelings will show. Spend so much, gotta get it some more. When they hands out, I just give them a note. How they always talk about me, but a nigga stand out. you really walk up to me, that's a man down. All these niggas got these drums with them like a band now. I've been doing what I want, that's what you can't doubt. I've been just feeling myself. Do I just really need help? I got my weight up. I be just telling myself I got love for all of my dogs. I take a pay cut. Some niggas really gon' ride. Some niggas really gon' slide. So go say a prayer. We ain't never gotta slap 5. Nigga, just pay your tithes and call me the mayor. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up this man. She all in the feelings, she giving me sex. I got a slack, sweat on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up this man. She all in her feelings, she giving me sex. I got a slack, sweat on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past.
Clean man. Yo, blackout, you know, we have them get a blackout. I think I already know one. That's good. Come and tell us I'm a body. Anything me say, I'm a put on me fresh. Me do what try on, me put on me done. Image a crime for someone, she lying if she tell you she fine, cause she tell me a dumb. Look what me got on in a TV breast. The pain of me make every neck a ton. If in your mind you got style, you're blind, just check out to fly when you're done. Anyway, she see me at the so she want forgive me. Cause me fresh, me like a chili. I'm a beat it for you. Never been in the Philly, but me got a gal a Philly. Can this gal if she got secret for you? Valentino wanna bop it with a buckle. I see rockin' on me and I just swag on me team it there. But the fact that the mathematic up in me and I'm in no afraid for squeeze. Cause the killer them out and bad. Anything me see on me put on me fresh. Me do what try on me put on me done. Image a crime for someone, she lying if she tell you she fine. Cause she tell me a dumb. Look what me got on in a TV breast. The pain of me make every neck a ton. If in your mind you got style, you're blind. Just check out to fly when you're done. Dress up in a Fendi, feel me gal no look like Wendy. My Bible wanna cause me trendy, nobody no let me. Me nigga them the bomb me right, and me gal no left me not a spot in a the spotlight. When you tell me, and me a Scorpio fully. Me nah go take the bully, mind you want talk to me nigga them cause we psychopathic. She a dance fan body, me see gal a stucky better must come when me call me quick fi move on. Anything me see on me put on me fresh. Me do what try on me put on me done. Image a crime for someone, she lying if she tell you she fine, cause she tell me a dumb. Look what me got on in a TV breast. The pain of me make every neck a ton. If in your mind you got style, you're blind, just check out to fly when you're done. Yo, Jaden. Yo, Lucky Six, Ashley. Yo, so Satan. I think I already know one. Yes, just cool. Just cool. Alisa, pick up yourself. Yes. Anything me see on me put on me fresh. Me do what try on me put on me done. Image a crime for someone, she lying if she tell you she fine, cause she tell me a dumb. Look what me got on in a TV breast. The pain of me make every neck a ton. If in your mind you got style, you're blind, just check out to fly when you're done.
Money. I love that money.
Lucas.
Money. You don't really want to play. Money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. You don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. Money, 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 make me shut him mouth. Don't never ever talk about it if you never had the clout. You don't know what to say. Stay up out of my way. Cause money, 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 make me shut him off. Keep playing with these goonies, boy, I'm gonna have to make the call. Stay in bounds on your pivot, boy, if you gon' ball. Cause a lot of niggas be fake, and you really can't play. Cause we done got it out the mud, nigga, what you talking about? Screaming on my God, money got me pride. They living a lie, look into my eyes, they might seem surprised. This is homicide. We just multiply. We been on the rise. If we got some wings, fuck it, we gon' have to fly. Money, 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 what I'm talking about. Day in my life, take me a different route. And use all my case, niggas on my face. You can get erased, what you talking about? Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. You never crossing these borders. I'm whipping it up, Gordon Ramsay. I swear that I'm cooking these orders. You talk about me, you better just hope that you can just really afford it. I'm ballin', I'm ballin', I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm feeling like Robert Tahori. Nigga, I'm scoring. I count in the morning. They talk about me, then I gotta ignore it. My bitches be foreign. So independent, my money be corporate. These rappers is boring. You hate me and I'm always gonna adore it. I'm smoking that soaring. She always go ahead, let me explore it. I call her my Dora. You can go talk about me, I ain't flawless. I go put my all in. If a nigga talk about me, then I'm gone in. You know that I'm gone in. Jump in, take trips, Pompeii. All day, always keep 3 stacks like Andre. I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it, man. And you can never, ever, ever get rid of that. So watch what you say, and watch how you do. If you playing the game, then you play by the rules. Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about.
Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know, I know, I know, I know, and I'm here, and you know it, it's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. Take me to a place where everybody learns, where everybody sees, where everybody shows their love. I didn't think so. You know, that's why I always champagne for you or me. I really didn't think so. I take a promise, I give it some love, I make a wish upon a star. You know you gotta get it right. You know you gotta get it right. Ooh, every little thing counts now. Every little bitty thing. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know, and I'm here, and you know it, it's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. It'd be so cool just to celebrate all the love and not the hate that's going down. It's gotta stop, we've had enough. Why can't we just live together? Peace, love, and harmony. Just what this world needs forever. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know. Can you hear me? I am calling out your name.
A few years ago, I told myself I'd be the next big thing in the industry. See, the game is simple. Life has its way to show us that anything is possible. The power of the tongue, which has the ability to be detrimental or beneficial. Was it beneficial? I'll leave that one up to y'all. This is my story from me to you.
You're listening to this song right now. I'm speaking specifically to you. I want to give you my testimony, tell you a little bit about myself, if you don't mind. Alright. Coming from nothing but a little struggle and pain. Crazy how we can all turn around for you and change. I done seen a lot of things in the street, wrong danger to me. Hustling with them niggas that was no good for me, but I never gave up. 10 toes prayed up, thinking about the nights when the opposition got sprayed up. Trying to see a sunny day, all I get is rainy days. Screaming free my dogs and the loved ones who ain't here today. Yeah, I miss you, wanna kiss you, wanna hug you and hold you, won't forget you. All my life I've been misunderstood, just a little nigga tryna get up out the hood. And this thing we call poverty, but that's all inside of me. Used to cry myself to sleep, but strong I gotta be. Now I'm on TV, I done made it out the street. Troubled child turned the streams to reality. See, I knew that I would get there all along. Listen to the words of the song. This is my story from me to you. All I wanna do is just give you my truth. All I really want, promise to keep this just between me and you. Just between me and you, yeah. And you can do anything, just believe in your dreams will come true. Who would've thought that we would come up like we did? Running around on Upland Street, man, I never forget. They told us we was bad, always getting in some shit. Breaking windows from throwing rocks, but we was just being kids. And smoking at the park, coming in after dark. Rolling with dumb thug niggas, reckless with no heart. Sexing on them, hood rats addicted from the start. Trapping and catching cases, ghetto life is so hard. Coming from a broken home, left me all alone. Neglected as a child with nothing to call my own. But now that I'm good, now that I'm paid, I'm shining, everything is okay. This is my story from me to you. All I wanna do is just give you my truth. I'm giving you my truth, will you hear me? Promise to keep
conversation. And with great faith, you can see your way out of anything.
And I've been sitting here for a long time. The sound of my heartbeat goes by.